a leader who knows what needs to be done today to ensure a better tomorrow. She does not let party labels or differences get in the way of making real changes to better the lives of all Nevadans. And we know she is not afraid to take on the big fight, no matter how big or tough the opponent may be. Whether it's standing up to big banks to get millions of dollars to help keep Nevadans in their homes after the economic crisis, and we all remember that, criminals who partake in heinous heinous practice of self-trafficking, there is no fight Catherine won't take on when it comes to protecting and helping the people of Nevada. And she will continue to fight for the U.S. Senate, for us in the U.S. Senate, and that is why I am here today. Because Catherine is a proven leader that Nevada needs to deserve and deserves, it is my great pleasure to introduce to Nevada's next U.S. Senator, Catherine Cortez Masto.
Take this, thank you. We'll put this right here. Thank you. Hannah, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who's here today. It is a special honor to be speaking with you all today as we begin a month of celebration, a celebration of the contributions of African Americans to our shared American story. The story of African Americans in our country, above all, a story of resilience, it's a story of courage, and it's a story of creativity. It's a story that continues as Americans of all colors continue the fight to strengthen and enrich our great democracy. 53 years ago, Martin Luther King sat in a jail in Birmingham, Alabama, and wrote these words: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." That idea is one of the great legacies of the African American story. And that's why we honor the African American legacy by ensuring their hard-won victories for future generations of Americans. We are here today because we know that work is not yet done, and we will not stop fighting to ensure the voices of all Americans, no matter their race, no matter their gender, no matter their place in our economy, are heard. That's what I want to talk to all of you about today. I am here today to continue this fight, because I know what is at stake in this election. I know that we need to elect leaders who will solve the problems that matter to Nevadans, not just representatives who blindly follow party lines and contributed to the partisan gridlock in Washington. I'm running for the United States Senate because for too long, Washington has been failing the American people, refusing to face up to the challenges that Americans face every day. For 8 years, I had the honor of serving as Nevada's Attorney General. I addressed some of the biggest problems and concerns that Nevadans face every day. Two people I've worked closely with to tackle these challenges are Assemblyman Jason Frierson and Senator Pat Spearman, both of whom I am happy are here today with me. It is because of their tireless work of people, we were able to get results for the people of Nevada during our time together in Carson City. And one of the biggest victories for the people of Nevada during my time as Attorney General was the landmark bipartisan legislation I led and passed to get sex traffickers off our streets and put them behind bars. We worked with Nevadans across the state and empowered survivors to find the courage to come forward and stand up to human traffickers, helping not only themselves find justice, but providing inspiration and support to countless others who have been victims of this heinous crime. We passed historic reforms that increased the prison time against predators. We expanded the sex offender registry, and most importantly, we gave survivors a path to a new beginning. All of this would not have been possible if we had not come together, Democrats and Republicans, and put aside our party differences to focus on getting things done to improve the lives of Nevadans. As Attorney General, I worked with both parties and passed more than 40 bipartisan laws that helped Nevadans. Unfortunately, we don't see enough of that in Washington today, but it's what Americans want and deserve from Washington. Our economy needs to work for everyone, no matter your race, your gender, or your economic background. That means raising the minimum wage, giving women equal pay for equal work, and providing our schools the funding they need. It should not be a question whether or not we give our children, the future of this country, access to a world-class education. Now, my opponent, Congressman Heck, has been part of the mess in Washington. He votes with the Tea Party and the right wing of his party 9 times out of 10. He opposed raising the minimum wage. He's voted 3 times against women receiving equal pay for equal work. He opposed Governor Sandoval's increase in education that was supported by Democrats and Republicans, a true example of leaders putting aside party differences and coming together for a bigger cause. And he even wants to abolish the Department of Education. So there is a very clear choice on who African Americans can trust to fight for them in the United States Senate. I will work across the aisle to solve problems like ending pay discrimination, increasing the minimum wage, and improving education. In contrast, my opponent, Congressman Heck, votes with his party's leaders in Washington against Nevada's families. I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I'd like to introduce now my good friend and colleague, Assemblyman Jason Frierson, who I had the honor of working with side by side during my time as Attorney General. Thank you. Jason.
Thank you all, and thank you, Catherine, for having me. I'm honored to be here today to support Catherine and her campaign. I know from personal experience that, Catherine, you're a proven leader with a track record of working tirelessly for the state of Nevada. Of course, today marks the first day of Black History Month, and I can think of no better leader than Catherine Cortez Masto to help our community, the African American community in Nevada, continue to make progress in the ongoing fight for equality and justice. In 2013, you all may remember I chaired the Assembly Committee on Judiciary, and Catherine and I worked together to make our streets safer, to protect women and girls from the heinous crimes of sex trafficking, which are too common on the streets of Las Vegas. I'll take a point of personal privilege. We worked hard on this legislation because we could not allow Nevada, and in particular Las Vegas, to be a haven for activities such as sex trafficking. Some of the unique things about that legislative effort were that we focused on the victims, empowering the victims, giving the victims a voice. The legislation actually authorizes the proceeds from sex trafficking to be used to help put those victims back in a position of being able to live a fruitful and productive life, and to come back from the victimization that they lived through for a number of years. These are children on our streets that we were talking about. And so I watched and worked with Catherine to bring people together, to give those victims a voice, and to make sure that we gave them the tools to succeed after they survived such horrendous activity. So it was my honor to be a part of that effort and to work hard to make sure that we protected those children. There's no doubt, of course, that Nevada was one of the hardest hit areas when it comes to the economic crisis, and we're still recovering from that even 7 years later. We all saw the hardships that Nevadans faced because of big banks and Wall Street, and we worked to address that housing crisis here in Nevada. That was another example where I had personal experience. There's one thing to have some ideas. There's another thing to have a voting record. But what Catherine brings that we don't have is the ability to bring people together. We sat in rooms full of stakeholders, from title companies and realtors to bank executives, to talk about how we can actually get Nevada back on its feet when it came to the housing crisis. We were the fastest growing in the country, and we were allowed to be taken advantage of by banks that didn't care about us and our citizens. And we saw that. We saw that in the streets where there were foreclosure notices all over and signs on garages. We didn't want that in our community. But Catherine not only had ideas, but brought people together to talk about what we could do to make it better. And she did just that, bringing relief to Nevada like no other state. I'll also say, in addition to Catherine being the
Okay, Catherine, can you please tell us your full name?
Sure, it's Catherine Cortez Masto.
Okay, the first one. Tell us who is Catherine Cortez and your bid for Senate.
I am Catherine Cortez Masto, and I'm running for the United States Senate here in Nevada.
Okay, what do you want the Hispanic community to know about you?
I am somebody that has born and raised in this community. I'm very proud of the work that not only that I have done, but my family has in Nevada. My grandfather's from Chihuahua, Mexico, and came to Las Vegas, like many families, to have an opportunity to succeed. And my parents worked very hard to have two daughters, were the first in their family to graduate. And I haven't forgotten that. And to me, that's what this is about, giving everybody that opportunity to succeed, to fight for the issues that they have concerns about. I did that as Attorney General, and will continue to do that as United States Senator.
There are many Hispanic here in Nevada, especially Las Vegas. What will you work for them, like some kind of improvements or things that you believe that they might be interested in having work from you?
I think the first thing and foremost that I've been talking to people about in the community and so many others is comprehensive immigration reform. It needs to pass. I support the Senate bill that had passed. There's many things that we need to continue to do. Unfortunately, the gentleman I'm running against, Congressman Heck, is opposed to comprehensive immigration reform. He voted to defund DACA. He thinks birthright citizenship should be part of the dialogue. That's just ridiculous. These are families that I have lived with and worked with and actually employed some of their kids in my office as the Attorney General. There's an opportunity now to move our country forward and give everybody the opportunity to succeed. For me, that is focusing on comprehensive immigration reform, but so many other issues in our communities that we need to fight for.
Especially there are many Hispanics that work like in hotels and scenes like, for example, barbershops or things like that. Do you believe that there is also some work that you can do for that kind of workers?
I think, you mean for hotel workers?
Yes.
And absolutely. Listen, I think many of us, and we've just talked about this, the economy needs to work for everyone. And what I mean by that is we need to increase that minimum wage, but we also need to tear down the barriers to the middle class. And that is a fight that we need to continue, and that's the fight I'm going to take to Washington, D.C.
About medical marijuana, there is a booming industry here in Nevada. Can you tell me what is your position on that?
Well, medical marijuana has been the law of the state for the last 10 years, so that's not going to change. And as Attorney General, that is an area where I enforce the law for medical marijuana. And I will tell you, I had folks that worked for me that had loved ones and spouses that had acute illnesses that required that medical marijuana for assistance. And I would not deny that to anyone who needs that type of help with a medical marijuana and oversight by a physician. Absolutely.
Which of the presidential pre-candidates do you support and why?
I haven't actually announced my support of a candidate yet. I've really been focused on getting around the state of Nevada and talking to people about the issues, the concerns, and focused on what we need to do in Washington to really solve the problems that we are hearing about. At some point in time, I will be announcing, and I will make sure you're the first to know.
Okay, something else that you want to say?
Thank you for being here. I look forward to working with you and partnering in the future. Listen, this is a race that's important for Nevada. This is a pathway, Nevada is a pathway for the Democrats to take back the majority in the Senate. A majority that's going to decide who sits on our United States Supreme Court and our federal benches for decades to come. It's an important seat, and I thank you so much for being here and listening to what we had to say.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you.
And good luck.